The hallway was silent, except for the sharp squeak of sneakers against the polished floor. Marcus walked with his head down, clutching the strap of his backpack as two staff members flanked him on either side. Classrooms they passed grew quiet. Students pressed their faces against windows, whispering and pointing. Everyone wanted to know what was inside the bag. The security guard at the end of the hall adjusted his walkie-talkie like he was preparing for something dangerous. The principal waited in her office with her arms crossed, her expression a blend of irritation and unease. Marcus's heart hammered. He wanted to shout, "I didn't do anything!" But the words stuck. He knew from experience that speaking too loudly, moving too quickly, or even just making eye contact could be used against him. And then, like a slow-motion scene in a movie, the zipper on his backpack was pulled. The whole school seemed to hold its breath. What could a 15-year-old boy possibly be hiding that made him look so suspicious? To answer that, we need to rewind. Back to the start of the day. Back to the moment when Marcus was just another student, trying to survive high school. Marcus Thompson was 15, but in many ways he felt older. His friends said he had an old soul. Teachers sometimes called him quiet, reserved. His mother called him my rock. On the surface, he was like any other 10th grader, tired of early mornings, worried about grades, secretly dreaming of being more than what people expected of him. But Marcus carried something heavier than books in his bag, the constant weight of needing to prove he wasn't what the world assumed. That morning started like most others. His alarm buzzed at 6:15, and the smell of fried eggs and toast drifted from the kitchen. His mom was already dressed for her first shift at the nursing home. She handed him a plate while juggling phone calls from co-workers. "Eat up, baby," she said. "Got a long day ahead of you." Marcus's little sister, Naya, bounced into the kitchen wearing her superhero pajamas, teasing him as usual. "Why you always carry that giant bag? You got bricks in there?" She laughed, tugging at the strap. He smiled and pulled it back. "It's just my sketches and notebooks. And you wouldn't understand." In truth, the backpack was more than storage. It was Marcus's safe. His sketchbooks were filled with designs for sneakers, portraits of rappers and athletes, even a comic series he'd been working on quietly for months. If someone were to open it, they'd see his world, his passion, his escape. By the time he left for school, his dad had already gone to his construction job. But Marcus remembered their conversation from the night before. His father, tired but serious, had looked him straight in the eye. "Marcus, you remember what I told you when you were 9? About how the world might see you?" Marcus nodded, not wanting to repeat it out loud. His dad sighed. "You're smart. You're talented. But don't forget, some people won't see that first. They'll see something else. And you gotta carry yourself in a way that keeps you safe." Marcus thought about that as he walked to the bus stop. At school, the morning flowed like usual. A blur of chatter, the slam of lockers, the scrape of chairs against tile. His first class was history, where he half listened to a lecture while shading in a sneaker design in the margin of his notes. The design had sharp lines, futuristic curves, something bold that he imagined seeing on a Nike billboard someday. "Marcus," the teacher's voice cut through his thoughts. "Are we paying attention?" "Yes, ma'am," he answered quickly, sliding the sketch under his book. Some students smirked. Marcus ignored them. He was used to being labeled the distracted kid, even though his grades proved otherwise. Between classes, he slung his backpack over one shoulder and headed down the hallway. That's when he noticed the eyes. A hall monitor, standing with folded arms, gave him a long look as if sizing him up. Marcus adjusted his bag, suddenly self-conscious. The truth was, he was used to those looks. He'd felt them in grocery stores, in clothing shops, even walking home from church. Suspicion wasn't new. It just stung more in a place where he was supposed to feel safe. At lunch, his friends joked and traded chips, But Marcus was quiet. His mind was elsewhere. He glanced at his backpack leaning against the table leg. To anyone else, it might have looked unusually heavy, a little too full. He didn't think much of it, until he noticed a boy at the next table, whispering, pointing, then glancing away when Marcus caught him. The weight of his father's words echoed in his head. Some people won't see you for who you are. They'll see something else. Marcus didn't know yet that this ordinary day was about to become the one he'd never forget. Marcus sat in his next class, math this time, tapping his pencil lightly against his desk. He wasn't the best at numbers, but he tried to keep up. When he got stuck, he'd flip to the back of his notebook and draw for a minute. It calmed him. The problem was, other people noticed. "Mr. Thompson," his math teacher said, pausing mid-equation. "You seem distracted." Again. Marcus froze. All eyes shifted toward him. "I'm following along," he replied carefully, sliding his notebook closed. A girl in the back chuckled under her breath. Another whispered, "He's always got something in that bag, though. Bet he's hiding snacks or something." Marcus didn't say anything, but his chest tightened. At the end of class, as students filed out, the teacher's assistant glanced at his backpack and muttered, "You sure carry a lot around for a kid your size." It sounded like a joke, but it didn't feel like one. Later, during the break, Marcus was heading down the hallway when a hall monitor, Mr. Riley, a tall man with a shaved head, stepped in front of him. "Hold up, son," Riley said, gesturing toward the bag. "What you got in there?" Marcus blinked. "Just books and stuff." Riley raised an eyebrow. "That's a heavy bag. You sure?" "Yes, sir," Marcus said, trying to keep his tone respectful. Riley studied him for another beat before finally nodding. "All right, keep it moving." Marcus walked away quickly, heat rising in his cheeks. It wasn't the first time someone had asked him what was in his bag, but the way Riley looked at him, like he was searching for something dangerous, made his stomach churn. By lunchtime, the whispers started. He sat with his best friend Devin, who noticed right away. "Yo, what's wrong with you today?" Devin asked between bites of pizza. "Nothing," Marcus muttered, poking at his food. Devin leaned closer. "People are talking, man, saying you got, I don't know, something weird in your bag." Marcus looked up sharply. "What? Who said that?" Devin shrugged. "Some freshman claimed you were acting shady in math. Said you kept your bag close like you didn't want anyone touching it." Marcus groaned, rubbing his forehead. "That's because it's my sketches. I don't want people messing with them." Devin smirked. "You drawing secret weapons or something?" Marcus shot him a look, and Devin quickly added, "Kidding, bro, kidding. But you know how people twist stuff." Marcus glanced at his backpack leaning against the chair. For the first time, he wondered how it looked to others. Bulky, zipped tight, always by his side. He hugged it closer without even thinking. That same week, a story was circulating on the news. Another black student, just a few towns over, had been suspended after a teacher claimed he was acting suspicious during gym class. They thought he might have been hiding something in his locker. Turned out, he was only carrying an asthma inhaler and a bag of chips. Marcus had seen the headline on his phone that morning. He hadn't paid much attention then. Now, sitting in the cafeteria with whispers circling like vultures, the story replayed in his head. Could that really happen to me? He wondered. Devin nudged him. "Don't worry, man. People talk. It'll blow over." But Marcus wasn't so sure after lunch. As Marcus walked to his next class, he noticed a group of students ahead glance back at him and laugh. One mimed zipping an imaginary bag, then pretended to sneak down the hall. Marcus's ears burned. He thought about saying something, but his dad's voice came back to him. "Don't react too quick. Don't give them a reason." So he kept walking, eyes forward, trying to block out the noise. But the seed of suspicion had already been planted, and by the end of the day, it would grow into something much larger, something Marcus couldn't simply ignore. Marcus thought he could get through the rest of the day unnoticed, keep his head down, stay quiet, just make it home. But rumors, once they start, move faster than anything else in a school. By his last class, he could feel it, the shift in the room, whispers as he sat down, quick glances at his bag. A girl near the window even scooted her chair a little farther away, like his presence alone was dangerous. He gripped his pencil so tightly it snapped in two. The teacher paused, eyeing the noise, then cleared her throat. "Let's focus, class." But even she kept glancing at Marcus's bag every few minutes, her voice tightening each time. Halfway through the lesson, a boy in the back suddenly blurted, "Yo, he just moved his bag all weird, I swear!" The room went silent. Marcus's head snapped up. "What? I didn't—" But the damage was done. Students exchanged nervous looks. Someone muttered, "That's it, I'm telling." Another slipped out the door under the excuse of going to the bathroom. Minutes later, the assistant principal walked in, followed by the same hall monitor from earlier. "Marcus Thompson," the assistant principal said, his tone clipped. "Pack up your things. You're coming with us." Marcus's stomach dropped. The hallway stretched out like a tunnel. Marcus walked in the center, backpack pressed against his side, while the hall monitor trailed just behind him. He could hear it, the whispers. Doors cracked open, students leaning out. "Yo, what's going on?" "They're taking Marcus." "I knew it. Look at that bag." The noise swirled around him like smoke, tightening, suffocating. Marcus kept his eyes down, his father's words repeating in his head, "Stay calm, stay safe." But inside, his thoughts raged. Why are they doing this? Why me? Why today, across town? Marcus's mother was finishing her shift at the nursing home. She checked her phone during a quick break. 2 texts lit up her screen, one from another parent, another from Marcus's little sister, who had already seen posts spreading online. "Mom, something's happening at school with Marcus. They say he's in trouble." Her hands trembled as she dialed the school, but the receptionist's vague response only deepened her worry. "He's with the principal right now. We'll call if necessary." Marcus reached the principal's office door. The walk had felt like miles. His palms were damp, his chest heavy. The assistant principal gestured toward a chair. "Sit." Marcus lowered himself slowly, his bag placed on the floor beside him. The principal leaned forward, her hands folded tightly on the desk. "Marcus, there have been concerns about your behavior today." "My behavior?" he asked, his voice cracking. She continued, choosing her words carefully. "Several students reported that you seemed suspicious, protective of your bag, secretive." Marcus swallowed hard. "It's just my stuff. That's all." The hall monitor stood near the wall, arms crossed, eyes locked on the backpack like it might spring open at any second. Marcus could feel the weight of the moment pressing down, his face flushed with humiliation. He thought of his sketches, his poems, his private world that no one else had seen. He wanted to shout. He wanted to cry. But instead, he sat frozen, waiting. The principal finally nodded to him. "Marcus, open the bag." And in that single moment, everything went quiet. The zipper inched open, every sound magnified in the stillness. Marcus's breath caught in his chest, and then he reached inside. The zipper rasped, loud and jagged in the silence of the office. Marcus's hand trembled, but he forced it steady. He could feel everyone's eyes on him, the principal leaning forward, the hall monitor stiff and alert, the assistant principal shifting nervously. For a second, Marcus froze. In his mind, a storm of thoughts churned. What if they laugh at me? What if they don't believe me? Why do I feel like I've already been convicted of something I didn't even do? He thought of his dad's warning years ago, the words that had clung to him like a shadow. They won't see your smile first. They won't see your talent. They'll see your skin, and they'll expect the worst." His throat tightened. But then, he pulled the bag open. Inside were no weapons, no stolen goods, no contraband, just stacks of thick, worn sketchbooks. Notebooks stuffed with folded pages, pens, pencils, a dog-eared copy of James Baldwin's The Fire Next Time. Marcus slowly lifted the top sketchbook, its cover frayed at the edges. He opened to a page filled with a sneaker design, bold lines, tracing the shape of a shoe unlike any other. He flipped again, portraits of classmates, teachers, rappers, even his sister Nia with her superhero pajamas. Pages and pages of raw talent, the kind that spoke louder than words. The principal's lips parted, but no words came. The hall monitor shifted uncomfortably, the suspicion in his eyes flickering into something else, something like shame. Marcus's voice cracked as he finally spoke. "This is what I've been protecting. Not because it's dangerous, but because it's mine." He pulled out a notebook next, its corners bent. Flipping it open, he revealed a poem scrawled in messy handwriting. "I carry the weight of eyes that don't see me, only shadows of fear, where my light should be." The silence stretched. Marcus looked up, his eyes burning, not with tears but with a quiet, controlled fire. "You were never afraid of what was in the bag. You were afraid of me." The principal inhaled sharply, as if struck. The assistant principal fumbled with his pen. The hall monitor's arms dropped to his sides. For Marcus, it was both victory and defeat. Victory, because they could no longer deny what they saw. An artist, a dreamer, a boy with talent. Defeat because deep down, he knew it shouldn't have taken this humiliating display to prove he wasn't a threat. Seconds passed, like hours. Finally, the principal cleared her throat. "Marcus, you may return to class." Just like that. No apology. No acknowledgement of the damage done. Marcus closed his sketchbook, placed it carefully back into his bag, and stood. His knees felt weak, but he held his head high. As he opened the office door, the hallway erupted with whispers. Students craned their necks, waiting to see what he'd been hiding. Some looked confused. Others disappointed, as if they wanted the drama of something darker. A few looked ashamed. Marcus walked past them all, gripping his bag tighter than ever. For the first time, though, it didn't feel heavy with suspicion. It felt heavy with truth. And truth, he realized, was a weight he'd carry for the rest of his life. The office door clicked shut behind him, but the weight of the moment lingered. Marcus's legs felt like lead as he walked down the hallway. His backpack, once a shield against the world, now felt exposed. Everyone had seen what was inside, yet somehow it didn't make him feel safe. The whispers followed. What was it? Just drawings? Man, I thought it was something serious. Figures. They overreacted. Some students looked relieved. Others, almost disappointed, like they'd been cheated out of a spectacle. Marcus kept his eyes forward. Every step felt like walking on broken glass. Sharp, painful, unforgettable. At the end of the hall, his best friend Devin was waiting. "Yo, Marcus!" he called out, jogging to catch up. "Man, I knew it! I told everybody you weren't doing." Nothing. Marcus gave a weak smile but didn't answer. The words stuck in his throat. "Bro," Devin added, lowering his voice. "They had no right to drag you out like that. Everybody saw it. They're already posting about it." Marcus's stomach twisted. He could picture the headlines spreading across Snapchat and Instagram. "Kid pulled out for suspicious bag. It's just sketches." The story would travel faster than he could. By the time the final bell rang, Marcus just wanted to disappear. But as he stepped off the bus, he saw his mom waiting on the porch. Her arms were crossed, her face a storm of worry and frustration. "Marcus," she said firmly, "what happened at school today?" He froze. "You heard? Parents been calling me. I called the school too. They told me just enough to scare me half to death. Marcus lowered his bag to the ground, shoulders heavy. They thought I had something in my backpack. They thought I was dangerous. His mother's lips trembled. She reached out, brushing his cheek. Baby, you shouldn't have to carry that. I don't know what else to do, Mom, Marcus whispered. No matter how good I am, they'll still look at me like I don't belong. She pulled him into a hug, holding him tight. You do belong. Don't let them make you forget that. In his room, Marcus unzipped his bag once more. He spread the sketchbooks across his desk, staring at the drawings under the dim light. Each line, each page, felt like proof of who he really was. An artist, a dreamer, a boy with a future. But in the quiet of his room, the memory of the office replayed. How quickly suspicion had turned him from student to suspect. He whispered to himself, almost like a promise. One day, they'll see me for this, not for what they're afraid of. And as he closed his sketchbook, the house silent around him, Marcus realized the day had ended, but the shadow of it would follow him for a long time. Stories like Marcus's don't always make the evening news. There's no flashing headline, no breaking report. Sometimes the moments that change a young life happen quietly, inside school hallways, behind closed office doors, under the heavy silence of suspicion. But for Marcus, the weight was real. The room went still. Because what happened to him that day wasn't just about a backpack. It wasn't about rumors or misunderstandings or even nervous teachers. It was about the way a system can look at a young black boy and see danger where there is only potential. It's about how quickly a child's innocence can be stripped away, replaced with labels, threat, suspicious, problem. Marcus knew that sketches and poems would never erase the memory of being treated like a suspect, and he also knew he wasn't alone. There were other students, boys and girls who looked like him, carrying the same invisible burden every time they walked into a classroom. That night, as he sat at his desk, he thought of his dad's words. He thought of the little sister who joked about his heavy bag, never realizing what it symbolized. He thought of the students who had watched him walk down that hallway like he was on trial, and he realized something important. The world might keep doubting him, but he would not doubt himself. One day, his sketches might become real shoes on store shelves. His poems might become verses people memorize. His name might carry weight far beyond the four walls of his school. And when that day came, he wanted people to remember this moment, not as a shameful incident, but as proof of what happens when society lets fear blur its vision. Because Marcus was never the threat. The threat was the prejudice that blinded others from seeing him as he truly was. So here's the question we're left with. How many more Marcuses are out there? How many young students are carrying dreams in their backpacks, only to be treated as suspects instead of scholars? Every time we let fear speak louder than fairness, we risk crushing those dreams before they can even take flight. Marcus's story is a reminder to teachers, to classmates, to communities, to all of us. Look closer, see deeper, because what's inside a child's backpack is rarely as dangerous as the assumptions we carry in our minds. And sometimes, if we're willing to look with open eyes, what we'll find isn't fear. It's brilliance waiting to be seen.